Hey folks, how you doing? Richard from Crooked Smile Collectibles here, joined once again remotely today by AJ from Forbidden Panel. How you doing today, AJ?
I am actually salt and peppered today.
Like the rappers?
I am here in effect. So push it.
Push it real good. So today we're gonna do something a little different than we normally do. Originally I was gonna talk about backlash, but in my opinion was it's not worth talking about. So we're gonna pivot to something a little differently. We're gonna talk about Free Comic Book Day was this weekend, which I missed probably for I think maybe the second time in I don't know how many years. So I wanted to get into Free Comic Book Day and our both of our experiences with it, as well as I guess we'll talk about what it's like owning, and running a comic book company. So, what are your experiences with Free Comic Book Day throughout the years?
Well, first off, Free Comic Book Day always first falls on the first Saturday of May every year. And what it is a bunch of comic book companies, publishing companies, Marvel, DC, Image, all the other ones out there, of which there are dozens now. Um, they all get together and they used to just give out free comic books on this day, but it has now gone into kind of like a corporate thing where they issue out free teasers of comic books to get the kids interested in comics and interested in that series, kind of like a little ash can, if you will, um, of these comics to give out to kids for free and to get them interested in the comics and hopefully get them buying the full series um, after the fact. Nowadays, in a lot of comic book stores, what they'll do is not only will they issue out all these free comic books that the industry gives them to give away, but they invite local comic book artists and creators as well as popular ones from Marvel, DC, all those, to come on out and pimp out a little bit of their wares, offer some free stuff, and just do a little meet and greet with all the customers and the fans and stuff. Kind of like almost like a convention, but not with such a pretense to spend, not with such a heavy influence to spend money there.
Yeah,
More along the lines of just come out, be a community, meet your favorite artists and people, and get to know the locals that are trying to do their best to be one of these other people, and do so in a low pressure environment while having fun.
yeah, and
And
it's a lot like there's a lot of fun little like usually they'll bring a lot of comic book stores will bring like cosplayers, or they'll hire people to have like the Ecto One or the Batmobiles, different outside events too. And there's usually cool raffles and stuff. And then I know that we've given away, like when I was with Forbidden Panel, like we would give away different stuff. I used to do the coloring book pages that I would have for kids to
right,
give away and have kids to color, and then we would post them on the website. And
that was always a fun thing to see was when we had those going, because you would see kids. We did it primarily with Four Color Fantasies. They've always been a big supporter of Forbidden Panel and all of the stuff that we did, and they would always invite us out. And they had a huge crowd. Sometimes anywhere up to, I think the most we ever saw was up to 5,000 people in line to come on out there. And um, they would come out there and come through the line, and they would get your little art prints and take them over somewhere, and they would stop in the middle of the line and just start coloring in the prints.
yeah,
Uh, and that was just the coolest thing to see, is watching these little kids coloring in and having
yeah, it
fun.
was never about. I mean, even if we made decent, it was never about making the money as much as, I mean, we gave away so much stuff,
Right.
and then we would try to find stuff that we had that if at given like, even if it was normally something that was $5, we were selling it for maybe $1 if we were selling it at all.
Right. Half the time, Justin and Justin, who is the artist I would work with and collaborate with on Zombie Kill Squad, which is the book I wrote, He and I would get together and put together these 5-step posters that we would give away. 5 steps to identifying a zombie, 5 steps to identify a zombie, and zombie kid squad, stuff like that. And they were just 11 by 17 posters that we'd put together and give away to the kids when they came through the line. And the amount of times that we've had people say, hey, I have these posters hanging on my wall, or I'm coming by just to pick up this year's poster because I have to have the full collection. Stuff like that was just in itself just a happy thing to see,
Yeah. I always had a really good time with those, especially like because you meet some really cool local artists that you may not know exist. Like that's where I met Gio the first time, who
Right.
I really loved a lot, and I ended up buying a lot of his comics that the first time I met him. Some really good stuff.
Which he appreciates.
It's a tough world. As an artist in general, it's tough to get your name out there and get notoriety. Even with things like this, with podcasts and stuff that we do, it's hard to build a fan base. But throughout the years, like how long has Forbidden Panel been around now?
14 years.
So 14 years. So you have a solid fan base. Yeah, and I've seen it personally. You have very loyal fans. I would see them at conventions and things like Free Comic Book Day or other events that we do. And you see a lot of people that have been following you for years.
Yeah.
And that's
we call them stalkers.
But that's a testament to putting out stuff and knowing your audience, because you're putting out stuff that's keeping them interested, at least.
Right.
And it's a hard world, especially in modern times. It's hard to keep anybody's attention for any length of time. Yeah. It used to be like people used to call they called our generation like a fast food society. But this generation now, it's just like, fast internet. Everything's done in clips.
One of the coolest things I got to do, I got to experience, many different experiences, but one of the cool things is one of the first years I got to work at Free Comic Book Day when we had the booth there, was I was sitting next to Dwayne McDuffie, who, if you don't know, he wrote a lot of different DC comic books, All-Star Superman being one of my favorites. He also wrote most of the episodes of Justice League Unlimited, the animated series. So if you ever watched any of those episodes, that was Dwayne McDuffie. He passed away a few years ago, but I got to sit next to him and I got to, shoot the shit with him and talk to him and pick his brain and just network with him and he was just a really cool guy, and I got to learn a lot from him. And
I'd say for the most part, almost everybody I've met, whether they're well known or not, everybody I met in the comic community, for the most part, has been really cool. There are some exceptions. I won't bring up Rob Liefeld's name at all, but
hey, he's doing great with Evangeline coming out on movie form soon.
Anybody can have a bad day. Let's be honest, especially at a convention.
Yes,
he could be the coolest person in the world. It could have just been a bad day, honestly.
A few bad days, because I've met him a few times.
So
nothing wrong with him.
Even going forward, besides Free Comic Book Day, you are the creator and the main focus behind, or the main drive behind, Forbidden Panel. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Forbidden Panel is?
I don't want to.
Otherwise, I'm going to be in silence for a while.
That's fine. I don't mind silence. What can I say? Forbidden Panel, we started about 14 years ago, and it started with me and an old friend who's no longer with the company because he felt it was too mainstream. Anyway, I decided that I was tired of reading the same thing in comic books all the time. Like, how many times is Spider-Man going to fight Doc Ock? I mean, like, aren't these guys 90 by now? And that's what I felt like in every single storyline I was reading. Like, oh my God, these guys have to be tired by now. And why are they all the same age? Why is it all the same storylines? Why is it all the same villains? Why are they always coming back with it's just recycling all the time. Even now, it's still like with the inclusion of the multiverse, it was the only way they could keep storylines fresh and keep all these different characters, the same age that they've been keeping them, or even age them in a little bit, Old Man Logan and stuff like that. But for me at the time, I was getting just repetitive and boring. So I wanted to write something different that was out of the box, or out of the panel, if you will, and hence Forbidden Panel. I decided I wanted to write comic books that were vile and disgusting and horrifying and just things you wouldn't see in your normal everyday life on a comic book show. I didn't want to be. I was also tired of seeing comic books labeled as kiddie books, as joke books, as books only children read, and weren't being taken seriously. Even though by that time we were all over Frank Miller. Miller came in and said, "Fuck that! Here we go."
Yeah.
And so that's where I decided to start this. And I met a bunch of like-minded individuals who just happened to be way more talented than I was in the art department. And we just got together and started making books.
Don't discount your stick figures.
Hey, stick figure, I'm still working on that webcomic. But because of that, these people don't ever discount artists, man. They are their own worst critic, and they can be frustrating to work with, but they help my dreams come true in every way that I can see, that I can talk to about in front of children. In that they took everything from my brain that I could put out and put it on paper and made it come true. And I will always be grateful to every single one of the people that I've had a chance to work with. And that's what I wanted with Forbidden Panel. I didn't want it just to be my dream. I wanted everybody else to come on board and be able to publish their own comic books and publish their own work and put their own souls on paper like I did. And without waiting or having to go through Comic-Con or going through what do they call it? Portfolio reviews or do anything like that. Just come on board with an idea and the willingness to do it, and I would publish it. And that's how we got it started. And
it's crazy is this was 14 years ago that you started this being a self-published comic book when there were so few out there back then. Like there was a spattering. Obviously, you would see them at conventions, but there wasn't what there is now. Like there's so many self-published comic books and graphic novels and stuff that are out there. It's insane, which good for them. I'm glad that things have reached that. Even self-published novels is becoming a big industry now, and I'm glad to see it to where you don't have to have that kind of corporate backing to put your visions out there.
Well, it is, but I'm with the help of corporate backing, though. A lot of these self-published authors and stuff, other companies like myself, have taken that and allowed that to happen. Lulu Press has done it, and then Amazon just recently started doing it in the past couple of years, where they're publishing comic books, independent comic books, as well as novels, independent novels and stuff. They just take a really big chunk of the commissions and stuff, the money that's being made. Whereas we don't do that. We take what we need, and then we take what it costs to publish, and then the rest go back to the artist. But because of that influx, that it has been flooding the market like crazy. But it all started with Image Comics and their creator-owned comics. Mm-hmm. And what they would do, they would buy, that run of the comic and publish it. And then once it was done, if it was depending on the popularity of it, either buy another run of it, issue 2 or the next trade or not, and then release it back to the owners, and then they would continue on working on it independently. And independent Image was a big name with them. Because of them, I got to meet people like the Moriarty guys.
Yeah.
We got to meet them and hang out with them and become good friends with them. So
very, very awesome guys.
Yeah, Daniel Corey and Anthony Dietchaduo.
I remember when they made the appearance at the booth. I worked my tail out for them guys. That was back when I used to be able to sit down on the ground. I was just handing up comics as they're asking for them.
That was
they
the thing
paid
we
me in
did.
comics, so I can't complain.
When we would go to conventions, we would invite all these indie artists and creators to come sit at our booth and give them the opportunity to sell their stuff at a convention, WonderCon, Comic Con. We went to a lot of different ones, and it seemed like every month we were at a convention, and we had all these independent artists and creators that were just sitting at our booth, not just us, not just Justin and myself or you pimping out your books, but everybody that we had, even if they didn't publish through us, we just let them come on in. We had at one point we had Robert Kirkman at our booth. We had who else did we have? We had, I can't think right now. I'm brain farting, but a lot of the image guys came by our booth and sat at our booth and pimped out their stuff too. So we worked with a lot of big names as well as small names and everybody, just because that's just the network we wanted to create. That's part of the family we wanted to be a part of, where we're all helping one another out. We kind of believed in the comic books is kind of like the baseball system, where you have like the farm leagues, the triple A's, then you have like the major leagues. And we all believe that if one team went up to the major leagues, then we all go up one way or another. If you got, a job with Marvel or DC, then you're obviously going to need a team to go with you, and you're going to grab one of us from FP to go with you. So, same with me, same with anybody else that goes up. So that's how we work together.
What I noticed, which was always amazing, is when we would do conventions and stuff, we would get the best spots, right by some of the biggest names, and we were always in high traffic areas. We weren't hidden in the corner or anything like that. It was always some pretty choice spots.
That first year of Revolution, Comic-Con Revolution in Ontario, they had us right by the door, and we got hit like crazy. And everybody loved us. We got sold so many comic books and so many prints. And
I just remember people sitting there filming me when I was drawing that what's called Papa Shango picture. There was somebody that sat there for a half an hour filming me do that. Yeah, we sold really good on that show too. That had a good turnout.
And we had that's when we started doing. What we started doing was we wanted to raffle off something for the kids and for everybody else to see. Because it kept us busy behind the booth and busy working on stuff. So what I would do is buy these canvases, these empty canvases, and ask everybody, all the artists that sat behind the booth, to draw something on them. And then we would raffle off tickets for $1 or $2, and then whoever won the ticket got to win the whole canvas. And we did that for a couple of conventions at WonderCon and at Ontario Revolution. And then eventually we moved up to blank skateboards.
Yeah, the skateboards were awesome.
And now that's what we were doing up until Vegas last year, themed skateboards for $2. So the last one we did was Dungeons and Dragons, where we had a 20-sided die, different monsters, mimics, dragons, and stuff all over in the background. And it was $2 a ticket to win this skateboard full of all this original art. So we did one at Stan Lee's Kamikaze, where it was all the Firefly characters, and we had Joel Gomez, who draws Batman Beyond and works for DC, and he drew the Firefly, the Serenity flying in the background.
Nice.
With the city that they're in, which was awesome. He did it for free. He just wanted to help contribute so that people can have it.
I always preferred the skateboards more than the canvases, just because drawing on canvas is just a pain.
Yeah, the problem with skateboards though is that we would always do it with Sharpies and we'd smear.
Yeah, they'd smear
everywhere you go.
That was before paint markers became such an easy thing to get.
Right.
Now paint markers are everywhere.
But I mean, and that was also back in the day when this was all brown. So I should tell you.
Right. Like I said, that was back when I was able to sit on the ground and hand up comic books and be able to get back up. Right. That doesn't happen too often anymore. So that besides that, you're also known for the Zombie Beauty Pageant. So how did that come about?
Yeah, well, that was a random thing. You and I were working But I think we did the first one before you came up.
Yeah, you did the first one before me.
Um, I was working at this event center called the Fox Event Center in Redlands, California, and basically it was just an indoor theater that was converted over to hold events and public events and stuff, mostly weddings and whatnot. And my boss had come up to me and said, "Hey, we need something for Halloween. We're not getting any weddings here on Halloween. We need, if you want to do something, you can." And so I said, "Okay." So I sat down, I talked with the company, and we all came up with the idea for the zombie beauty pageant, which was a Miss America with zombies. And I wanted to have uh, um, I wanted a talent competition. I wanted a swimsuit competition. I wanted an evening gown competition. I wanted a choreographed dance number. I wanted all this stuff, but I wanted them all with zombies. And I wanted the ladies to come out as zombies and just act. I thought it would be hilarious when you're asking the world peace question.
Yeah.
If you won the pageant tonight, what would you do? And for them to be like, brains, just to see the reaction,
Yeah,
And it was a
everybody's
hit.
really good at staying in character the whole time.
Yeah, but it was a hit. Everyone loved it. The first year, we only had about 150, 200 people there. But by the third year we had put it on, it was standing room only. We had over 500 people there. We had MTV there filming. We had it was amazing. It was great. And by the third year, it had gotten so good and everybody knew their stuff so well that I actually got to sit down and watch the show. I didn't get to watch the previous 2 years because I was running
Yeah.
around directing and producing, doing everything. And the third year, I actually got to sit down and watch the show because, I had everybody in the ear or whatever, but everybody knew their jobs and I was able to handle. And I was able to enjoy the show and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a really good. The third one, I did like the second and third, right? I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
the third one was as much of a hassle as it was pre-filming there, pre-day. Getting there, like we did a lot of work to get there, but
Right.
that day went surprisingly smoothly, except for whatever with MTV.
Right.
I mean, that experience really reminded me why I didn't go into the film industry.
I have some photos from it. If you guys are ready for it, let me go ahead and show you guys real quick. So this is the ash cam we had released on that day. Like I said, we were doing like a 5 steps thing for Free Comic Book Day. And these are the patches that we had released for it. I made all of our ZKS guys dressed in uniform, and we based the beauty pageant off of the ZKS comic book, where we had zombie kill squad agents escorting the zombies back and forth. As you can see them here at Comic-Con, WonderCon, some of our ZKS guys. And here's our booth at WonderCon. You might recognize the big helmeted guy. And here's the beauty pageant. And there's our zombies. All on stage, dressed up. There they are. The guy with the little skull, the little jaw skull line in the background. That's little Richard. That's the winner of the third year. So yeah, that's just some of those pictures there. So we had a lot of fun with it, and it grew wildly popular. We brought it back this year, but unfortunately, this year being 10 years after the last one we had put on, with the way the world is now, it wasn't kosher to put something on like that.
Right.
And we were also limited by the location as far as what we could do, because when we put it on, we like it gory, we like it bloody.
Right.
One girl, for her talent, when you jump roped her intestines.
The intestines, yeah, that was. I remember that.
And and so we were doing stuff like that for talent, and we couldn't really do that here because we were doing it at a high school.
Right.
So our
Yeah, there was
really
even words you weren't allowed to put in the advertisement, right?
right. I couldn't use the word beauty because it was connotative to pressure on any of these girls or any of the contestants, and it was a bunch of other stuff that I was just
Yeah.
handcuffed with. So because of that, the beauty pageant is no more, unfortunately.
Well,
But
it did have a good run, and it was a lot of fun.
it was some of the best times I've ever had. I met some amazing people, and uh, yeah, I can't. I'll never.
I always
Who
thought it
can
would
say that?
be
Who can say they participated in a zombie beauty pageant? Like, really?
right. I always thought it would be an incredible scene in a movie. You know,
Yeah,
like when a society's starting to build their like during a zombie apocalypse or whatever, and you get to that. You know, there's always that one city that's built and fortified, and
right.
imagine them putting on that zombie beauty pageant. I just
That's
think
what I.
it would be an incredible scene in a movie.
That's what I had envisioned it as. I was watching. Oh, what was it? Was it World of the Dead, or it was whichever one of Romero's movies that came out where it had the smart zombie,
Oh, Land of the Dead,
Land of the Dead,
the
and
one that had John Leguizamo and
yeah, with John Leguizamo and all them. So I had imagined that we were in a city like that, and that we had been safe and secure for a good couple of years, and to celebrate Z Day, we would all get together in like this auditorium in a safe part of town, and go inside, get all dressed to the nines, and come in and watch this show, kind of in a cruel joke of human society, you know, and
yeah.
irony that we're torturing these poor once alive creatures,
Well, yeah, there was even that. I mean, there was that skit that you put on of us leading a zombie to the stage, and her attacking one of the ZKS members,
right,
and that member ended up
being
changing during the course of the beauty pageant,
right, and become a contestant, yeah,
become a contestant, which, like I said, plays out just like movie. So
right, and so that was all I was trying to do the entire, and the audience loved it.
yeah, it was awesome.
And the audience grew every year. They always, by the
I'm
time
just saying that zombie may got dropped a little hard. I'm not saying who did it, but it might have been me.
yeah, yeah. The line was out the door and around the buildings. It was great. So that was just
Yeah,
one
it
of
was.
the
That third year was something that it was. I can't say it was unexpected or call it a surprise because I mean, that's what you're always going to hope for. But I was really, really amazed by the turnout, and not just the turnout, but the how much people loved it. Like every bit, everything that we did, they just absolutely loved. And the thing that really sucks about it is how huge it was. MTV made it look tiny.
yeah,
MTV made it look like it was held in a closet.
right.
Like they just really limited the scale. They really that was so disappointing because it was such a big event. Um, Especially for for being an independent company putting it on, and they really diminished the way that it looked.
I mean, when you're coming from one dude with a stupid idea for a comic book, you know, into like this big, huge thing that it turned into, um, you would think that they would show more. Uh, the thing is, they called me up and they asked if there was a contestant they could follow around. And so I nominated a couple of the contestants up, um, uh, to have them come around. And they came out to the first rehearsal and they talked to them and they started following one of the contestants around. And it was for, um, I think the episode was called My Obscure Beauty Pageant or something like that.
Yeah, it was the what was the series? It was called My
My,
Life or something like that.
yeah, My So-Called Life or
Yeah,
something like that.
no, I think My So-Called Life was a TV show.
Yeah, yeah. Wilson Cruz, whatever him. Anyway, but it was something like that. And so they came out and they followed him around. And immediately I was already upset because the show is half contest, but half stage production.
Right.
And so we normally didn't have the bitter, catty drama that you would normally find in the back of a beauty pageant. We had camaraderie and girls getting along and everybody switching.
They were helping each other do their makeup.
Right. And it wasn't just like beauty pageant makeup, it was horror monster makeup.
Yeah.
More detailed and stuff, severed arms and eyeballs popping out and stuff like that. And MTV came in and they wanted drama. They were feeding lines to the contestants and making it bitter and rivalries, just building rivalries between people.
Yeah, they made it really catty when there was no cattiness about it. It was
right, and it caused a lot of the contestants to actually have real life anxiety and stress about it all.
Yeah, the weird, like, there was never any, like, even though it was a beauty contest, it wasn't really a contest. It was fun. It was everybody just having a good time. Like, it didn't matter who won, or they're like, everybody in the beginning would have been like, oh, we're doing this again, because it wasn't about winning or losing. It was just about having fun, and they tried to make it something it wasn't.
Right.
And they were rude and would just jump right in front of people, and they really almost got cracked in the head with a couple of those weapons. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's why they didn't call us back the next year.
I don't think you would have done it again anyway. So
I wouldn't know. No,
it wasn't even exposure. Like the show was on. Exposure. I think it ended that season.
And and contrary to popular belief, we didn't get paid for anything. Yeah. So it wasn't like we made any money. The contestant that they followed didn't exactly get anything in return. You would think that she would have at least gotten some sort of, here's some help with your costumes, here's some help with makeup or something like that, like some sort of sponsorship or something, but nothing at all. All they did was create drama and headache, and yeah, it wasn't.
And I don't even think in the episode if they mentioned the company name, really.
No, they didn't mention the company name at all. You saw it said special thanks to Forbidden Panel but it was alphabetically lost in a bunch of other names.
Right.
Everything else.
Well, because didn't they do like 3 other, wasn't it 3 contests? So they did like 2 other ones?
No, they did one other one. It was
one other one?
It was a Star Trek.
Star Trek, yeah.
A Star Trek princess or something like that. But whatever it was, it was overshadowed by our show, and then it just went from there. But anyway, we also put on a couple of comic conventions on around, which was a lot of fun.
The comic expos were like, actually, the odd thing is, randomly, I was put back in the newspaper days. my dad was reading the newspaper, and he had mentioned, he's like, hey, there's a comic book convention he's like, there's a Comic-Con this weekend. And I'm like, what? No, like, Comic-Con's, in July, June or July. And he's like, no, there's one in Redlands. I was like, what? And he told me about your guys' Comic Expo. So I randomly showed up, not talking to you in I don't know how many years it was.
Yeah, I've been.
We grew up together, but obviously people grow apart. And then I just randomly ran into you that day. Like I said, it had been at least 10 years.
Yeah, at least a decade.
So that was one of the coolest things and God, I spent so much money at the convention.
We all did, and I put the show on. I spent a lot.
Yeah, it was. That was a really good. The expos were always really fun. There was always a really good turnout. You brought a lot of really good cosplayers and entertainment. I think the first year I went, is that the year that you had the lightsaber fights, or was that the second year?
The first and second year we had the lightsaber fights. We had Ghostbusters. The first 2 years we had the 501st all 3 years. I forgot who else. Yeah, it was the Saber Guild that did the lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else we had. We had a lot of people.
There was a lot of stuff that had it was always really fun.
But
And
again,
really, even really good vendors too.
like I'm nobody. Like I'm nobody to these people. These are just friends I'd met through the comic convention circuit. Going out there and having booths next to these people, and I decided, well, I work at this place. Let's just throw up a convention, see what I can do. And so I managed to reel a lot of them in. Had the Cobra Troopers there, running around, and anyway, yeah, we had a lot of fun and
Yeah.
tons of cosplayers. And again, I only did that because I wanted to showcase the local talent that we have, all the artists and writers and creators that we have locally, and cosplayers. Because a lot of these cosplayers, a lot of these people are just kids who can't make it to San Diego, can't afford to get those tickets, can't afford to wait in the waiting rooms of Comic Con and WonderCon to get tickets, and they just want something different. And so that's what I was trying to bring them, something local and different.
Yeah.
And
San
even with the
Diego,
comic
San
book store
Diego.
down the store, we had a comic book store down the street, and they never did anything. So we went ahead and did it first, and brought it in. And
San Diego has become so huge and impossible to get to. It's crazy. Like when we first started, I remember when I first started going, it was easy to get into Comic Con. It was
yeah,
small. It was held in a convention center inside of a hotel.
right.
You know, now you're waiting in line. You're paying hundreds of dollars for tickets. It's it's gotten so big they have to put stuff outside to keep people
And
entertained.
the comics part of it is this big.
Yeah, yeah.
This big over here.
It should be just like move. It's just movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
So like,
Which is why I don't even go anymore. It's too it's not even fun anymore. If I can't, it used to be preview night was on Wednesday night, and that would be for industry professionals only. And so we would go down there on Wednesday nights if we didn't have a booth. Well, we never had a Comic Con booth, but we would go down to Comic Con on Wednesday nights and just hang out with all of our friends that were down there. Go see the behind the scenes of Comic Con first, which was always like, "Woo! Look, I'm at Disneyland. Well, it's closed." That's kind of the feeling you got while you're there.
yeah,
And then we would host our annual Forbidden Panel dinner, uh, where we got to meet lots of fans and lots of other people and just hang out and barbecue and talk to people and meet people and then just have fun. Now it's like, oh, no, no.
yeah. It's too much.
It's too many people. It's too crowded. It's insane. My brother-in-law is a cop down there, and that's when he takes his vacation, and he puts in for it every year at Comic-Con. Like,
It's good for the industry and good for and it's something for people that's their vacation. Like if that's what they're saving up for all year, that's going to be their vacation or their thing to do. But it becomes too much. Like
yeah.
it's not too far from us, so it's something that we could go. Theoretically, you could do every year, but yeah. I mean, once every 5 years, maybe about right for me.
I mean, you're talking about like at least 200 for the tickets, and then what, like $2,000 for the hotel,
Yeah.
at least 5 to eat down there. If you plan to sit down and eat, if you want to bring your own food or eat at Subway or the pizza
Well,
by the
the food
Sky
trucks
Store.
are always good.
Food trucks are always good, but they're still 20 to 25.
Well, you don't have anywhere near as much at San Diego. You don't get anywhere near the like trucks that you get like at
WonderCon.
WonderCon.
Yeah, and so you're already looking at a $3,000 weekend,
Yeah,
and that's before you go shopping at Comic-Con. Which, if you walk out of a day at Comic-Con without spending $500, then you are a cheapskate.
I don't think I ever have.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like,
Yeah, I would always, and that's the
accidentally
crazy thing
spend
is,
$500 in the first hour. Like, I'll spend $500 before I even get there. Like on
so in setting up the game room, I have, by where my TV is, I have where all my graphic novels and stuff are at. At the bottom, I have all these independent comics that I picked up at like WonderCon in San Diego because I would always go to where the independent artists were, and if I walk by your booth and you said, like, if I don't have to come up to you and be like, hey, what's your book about? Then I'm going to buy it. If you come up to me and be like, hey, you want to read a book about so and so, like me just walking by and you say that to me is enough to get me to buy it. I'll try it out if you sell it to me. But if you don't try, I wouldn't buy it. And I ended up buying so many books like that, and a lot of them are really good.
Yeah, a lot of them randomly are made into movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I used to love about San Diego, but not anymore. I don't even go to the swag tables anymore because it's just
yeah.
WonderCon used to be great because it'd be more for people like us. Until again, it got more incorporated.
Yeah.
With the movies and all that stuff, and then, it's just
now it's just smaller events I like to go to.
Yeah. Revolution is starting to get too big.
Yeah, Revolution is starting to get quite big. But I get it. That's their goal and everything. But as most comic book collectors and most people that are really in this community have anxieties, and being around that many people kind of brings it out.
I mean, look, I'm on location doing the podcast. Like, on location in my backyard because I didn't want to leave my house today.
I get it. So, in wrapping this up, what else do you still have going on? I know you just recently did a print, right?
Did we?
Didn't you just release a print with Joel?
Yes, we just released a print. I don't remember anymore. All this gray. I just released a print. I'm doing work with Joel Katz of Fictional Studios. I'm still working with Jimmy Purcell of Been Better Comics. We do a web comic every other month called Lunch Break. This month, we're going to forego the normal birthday suit annual web comic.
What? You're not going to be naked this year?
No nudity this year. Well, maybe. Who knows? We're actually going to be talking about Spider AJ on this webcam.
Well, one of the best stories of Comic Con's past.
We'll be dealing with Spider AJ on this web comic, so you're going to want to read this month's web comic. Comes out on May 31st.
And that's on your site, right?
Yeah, forbiddenpanel.com. Which
I can tell you from personal experience of someone who's read every one of them, they're amazing. Jimmy's artwork is always top notch. The stories are always hilarious. Like they're always really fun.
They're just one page, one sheet, quick random references to whatever's going on at that time and how it affects us. Something stupid, it's just ideas that we would come up with while we're sitting at lunch, and that's why it's called Lunch Break. I do have some comics we're working on, and yeah. In the meantime, I do have another sharing of some images I can give you real quick as to some of our comics. So this is our Forbidden Tales, which is a collaboration of anthology of short horror stories done from 4 different creators. The Plagued, some Zombie Kill Squad covers, Owl and the Steam Knots. These are all the comics that we've put out so far. Joey, who you've seen on the podcast, this is his comic book. He does some amazing artwork there. I don't know.
I know that
guy. We've heard of him somewhere before. The Plagued. These are our pinup books that we had. Yeah. So there you go. We have
it's available on your site, right?
Yeah.
You guys do digital too, right?
They're all digital. They're either in PDF format or whatever that other format is. I can't remember what it's called.
CBZ?
Yeah, CBZ or CBR format. And they're all $1 digitally online. So you can go purchase them now. When we have prints available, we make them available on the website. So you can have actually printed comics, and we'll send them to you all signed with a goodie bag of like stickers and random crap that we'll have on hand. So head over to the website and check it out. And please, please head over to the website, just read our stuff. Um, we have a writer on there right now who just puts stories up twice a month, and they're just random stories that he writes and creates, and they're phenomenal. Um, John's work,
Yeah.
his stuff up there is just, and he's just writing stories just to be
John
creative.
John has always been an amazing storyteller. He's somebody that, another
Sorry,
person that we
sorry,
grew up with.
H.G. Trotter, Mr. Trotter is up there posting that stuff, and uh, yeah, you need to read his stuff. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
he's an amazing writer.
We also have, like I said, web comics we're posting up there all the time. Richard and I, our podcast, we put up there all the time. We try to keep the website active and busy, and we post comic book news, movie news and reviews, trailers, stuff like that too.
That's where I see all my trailers.
Because at the end of the day, we're all geeks and we all want to see what's going on.
In the end, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, that's usually where I mean, granted, you usually send the trailers to me, but that's pretty much where I see all my trailers nowadays.
Yeah, because that's all I do all day on the toilet is watch trailers and send them to people.
Well, this has been our first artist spotlight. I decided I have we're going to do more of these. I have a few other people do. I've come across. I met a couple of customizers on TikTok that I've been talking to that I'm going to get on, and then I'm going to talk to Mike the Hunter, who does a lot of YouTubes and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you kind of opening up, because I know you normally don't really like to do that, but that's what happens when you go remote.
Yeah, when I'm live on location, yeah, in my summer beach home,
Your summer beach home and your and your winter hovel.
Mm-hmm.
So, in closing, do you want to say anything to your fans out there?
I don't have any fans.
You obviously have fans. I've seen them.
When you're my fan, that's
at conventions.
I'll say hi to you.
You have one family in particular that buys everything you ever put out.
That's true, huh? I don't like to admit I have fans. I don't like to look at it that way. Because I don't. That's just not who I am. I'm not a big-headed person. I'm not a person with ego or anything like that. I don't. Plus, on top of it, it puts pressure on me. It puts pressure on my writing and stuff. I feel like I have to do this so that these people will appreciate it. I just want to create and write and do stuff.
And in the end, especially when you're a small company, your fans become your customers in general, become your friends.
Yeah, and I'm appreciative for every single person that even looked at our stuff, much less made any purchases or anything like that. Thank you, everybody that's ever been there, been a part of it. Thank you, Richard, for coming in at some point, and being there and helping me out and being the sounding board and all that stuff, and I can't give enough thanks to Justin for putting it all, helping me, just doing the artwork for me. I mean, it's taken 10 years since our last book, but I'm just kidding, Justin. Keep working.
Hey, life gets in the way. We went through a pandemic. We went through life's crazy. We're in the middle. We're in the middle of a combination of the apocalypse and World War III. So
right. I do want to give a quick shout out to Scott Kruger. Thank you, Scott, for the covers that you've done for us. He's with the Starlight Digest podcast. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, Scott did some covers on our latest comic book. And
I was going to say, but I moved it. There used to be a picture right here of Jango Fett that Scott did, but I moved it.
Shame. Just in time.
Right?
It is now.
If you look at some of the older podcasters. Well, thank you for joining us today. I mean, you join us every week, but still, thank you for opening up today. Thank you to anybody that listens. We appreciate it. Once again, follow AJ at Forbidden Panel. You're Forbidden Panel on everything, right?
pretty much, yeah.
So you can follow him. He's on
515
Instagram,
Lab on
Facebook,
Instagram.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, you don't want the OnlyFans.
You follow Forbidden Panel. Be sure to, listen to, he has also got his version of I can't really say his version. His version is the original version of the PanelCast. It's spelled different. We're sister casts, I guess is what you would call it. Where he's more current stuff like movie reviews, comic book reviews. They do a little bit of, TV shows, stuff like that.
If you want to hear about all the old days that we've done at Comic-Con, WonderCon stuff, we did a lot of interviews during those days. Bill Templesmith and Ryan Otley, stuff like that. So we have a lot of those up on the website.
I'm even on some of those.
Yeah, you're even on some of those. And also on Spotify and on Apple, iTunes, and all that stuff. All those episodes are up there. I used to do a podcast called AJ Side Panel where I just focused on movie reviews. Those episodes are up there. But yeah, check it out. I mean, it's give you something to do or listen to at least when you're at the gym getting mad at me for some reason.
Yeah, they're great for rides and everything. So thank you, everybody that listens. Once again, follow, subscribe, rate, do everything you can. We're trying to keep our name out there, trying to build something here. Just because we're old and we can't work regular jobs.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah. Okay. Well, mine not really. It would be salt and chili flakes.
No, yours is like sugar and cinnamon.
Yeah, sure, if that works. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Stay classy. Have a good one.
Later.